Senator Merkley.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. A year ago, about this time, I went to Taiwan. I was the first member of Congress to go following the election, and I can tell you the leaders were extremely nervous about the new administration, primarily in the context of up and down support for Ukraine and what message that might be sending to China about our commitment to Taiwan. It is incredibly important that we send a very strong and consistent message. Senator Curtis's bill, which I'm proud to be the Democratic lead on, we filed this morning. And so I appreciate, Ms. Glazer, your response. One of the issues that certainly was discussed a lot a year ago was the incredibly rapid transition in warfare technology, particularly the use of drones, and how this affects planning for asymmetric warfare that goes to the heart of what we sometimes call the porcupine strategy regarding Taiwan. And there were concerns that Taiwan is not moving fast enough in terms of adjusting their strategy to this changing technological warfare world, because there's still a lot of momentum behind big, expensive weapon systems versus very inexpensive mines and drones that can make aggression very difficult for the aggressor, as Ukraine has demonstrated. So I wanted to ask you, Dr. Dickey, given your Defense Department background, have we, in our relationship, adjusted quickly enough to understanding this changing dynamic? And is Taiwan adjusting quickly enough to maximize the advantages of drone and mine protection against sophisticated, expensive military weapons that, including ships and planes that China might use if they were to decide to take over Taiwan?
Thank you, Senator. That's a great question. So I think, yes, we have adapted quickly, but can we move faster? The answer to that is also going to be yes. I would offer that as a data point, Taiwan has, at least for drones, taken a similar model to when they stood up their semiconductor industry in the 80s. By this, I mean to suggest that they have really funneled a lot of their government resources and energy to building industrial parks across the island, specifically in the central west part, that allow them to funnel expertise and industry to building drones specifically. To my knowledge, they have not done something similar with mines, but in either case, it is a slower burn, longer lead time approach because it's using this industrial park model to bring companies into one facility, one finite fixed area to build capabilities that the military would use. The other challenge that Taiwan has, and that I think we frankly have as well too, is that they, under President Lai, have a demand to build supply chains that are red-free, i.e. free of Chinese inputs. And in this day and age, given legacy chips largely coming from the PRC, as well as a lot of electronic components, that's a really tall order, both for Taiwan and frankly for us as well too. So I think while Taiwan is moving in the right direction, they've put a lot of policy energy and resourcing behind drones in particular. There's still a lot of challenges to getting there. On mines and undersea, for an effective defense, Taiwan will really need different types of mines, shallow water, deep water, and then sort of the water in between. And they're trying to move out and building and acquiring each of those different types of mines. For us, the challenge is the U.S. does not make the types of mines that Taiwan needs. So they need to look elsewhere for those resources. Taiwan is also, inspired by Ukraine and looking towards undersea UUVs that can move autonomously. I've seen some of those systems made by Taiwanese industry partners. They're really incredible, but the challenges that Taiwan faces, not unlike here in the United States, is that the defense procurement timeline is quite long. Yes.
Thank you. That's very helpful. I just wanted to save a few seconds to ask one second question. And actually, I have many questions, but I'll have to limit myself to one more. And This really, Ms. Glazer, I'm very concerned about the 2024 Beijing new guidelines that set out changes in the definition of separatism, including advocacy for Taiwan's self-governance. And those guidelines have harsh penalties, including a death sentence, and they appear intended to deter political speech in Taiwan. The foundation for this is the 2005 law, of which Article 8 states that if Taiwan succeeds from China, or if possibilities for peaceful reunification should be exhausted, then PRC shall employ non-peaceful means, ... So, how do we assess the impact of their new guidelines as we ponder the challenge of helping defend democracy in Taiwan?
That's a very important question, Senator. The guidelines were obviously just put into place last year. They are still being implemented, and I think Taiwan is still studying and seeing the evidence of Beijing targeting their citizens. I would like to cite the recent example of a legislator from Taiwan, Puma Shun, who was one of the founders of Kuma Academy, which teaches classes on cybersecurity and how to help provide medical care in a crisis. It's really a very effective organization in Taiwan. And because of his founding of Kuma Academy, they have decided that he is a target, so that if in the future Puma Shun goes to any country that has an extradition treaty with China, he could be sent back to China. So this is just one example. There are many people in Taiwan who are being targeted by these guidelines. And I think that Taiwan is taking them quite seriously and working to protect its citizens, warning people who could be subjected to any kind of pressure, even imprisonment, not to go to China. But I expect that we will see many more examples of China pressuring people that they have labeled pro-independence. And this includes actions they have taken even before these were issued, the actions against businessmen in Taiwan who their companies gave some donations to the DPP. By the way, they also give them to the KMT because companies just support both sides in Taiwan, but nonetheless, they were targeted, they were fined.
Thank you.